Welcome to the Leadership Art Podcast. I'm your host, Art Robbins, and it's great to have you join us. Picture two companies. Both spend the same amount on AI this year. Both buy the same chatbot license, plug it into the same systems, send the same excited memo to their teams. 18 months later, one of them has dramatically cut the number of hours it takes a doctor to document a patient visit. The other company still hasn't figured out why their AI keeps giving customers the wrong answer. The same technology with wildly different outcomes. Today, we're talking about the single biggest reason this happens and why vertical AI is critical. Here's the headline, and I want you to hold on to it. Generic AI, the bolt-on kind, the same chatbot everybody else has. That is not where the value is. The most successful AI in the world right now has a deep vertical focus, built around one industry or one function, going deep instead of wide. And the companies pulling ahead aren't the ones who deployed AI everywhere. They're the ones who picked one place where they understand their business cold, where they know their customers better than anyone, and where they have real proprietary data no one else has. And they went deep there first. Generic and shallow loses. Specific and deep wins. That's the whole episode in one sentence. Now let's talk about why that's true, who's already proving it, and exactly what you need to do about it. This isn't a hunch, by the way. It's already showing up in the numbers. Gartner and McKinsey are both projecting that more than 40% of enterprise AI deployments this year will be vertical first, built for one specific industry or workflow rather than general purpose. BCG's research on AI at work found that 70% of the highest return AI deployments came from embedding AI into a business's existing processes. Not a new tool, the same work, done smarter, delivering higher value, and woven into how the business already operates. Stanford's AI index tracked the same shift. Nearly half of the top 500 U.S. companies have already moved at least one real business process onto a vertical AI agent, up from barely 1 in 10 just 2 years earlier. That's not a trend. That's a stampede. And it's happening because leaders are realizing something simple. AI doesn't create value by existing. It creates value when it deeply understands one piece of your business. So what does deep actually mean? Here are 5 things. 1, a genuine understanding of how the business actually runs, not the org chart version, the real one. 2, a real grip on your customers and what you actually deliver them, your value proposition, not your mission statement. 3, heavy use of your proprietary intellectual property. The formulas, the playbooks, the processes that took years to build and that nobody can just go buy or replicate. 4, your own knowledge base and your own data. The history, the patterns, the institutional memory sitting in your systems and in your best people's heads. And 5, deep knowledge of your actual workflows and the willingness and courage to totally transform them, not just speed them up. This is the one people skip, and it's the one that matters most. The real prize isn't using AI to do the old process a little faster. It's redesigning the process itself, because there are levels of value you can only reach by changing how the work actually gets done. Put those 5 things into an AI system, and you get something a generic competitor literally cannot replicate. Skip them, bolt AI onto a generic process instead, and you get a faster version of mediocre. So let's look at what the deep version actually looks like in the real world. The first case is in energy. Take Hydro-Quebec, the utility that powers millions of homes in Canada. They didn't buy an off-the-shelf forecasting app. They spent 5 years building deep learning models trained on their own grid's behavior before they ever put one into production. In May of 2024, during a major heat wave, their old legacy model got it wrong. It expected the usual evening dip in demand, and it didn't come. Operators had to scramble and manually correct a 1,500 megawatt error in real time. The next year, with a new AI model, they got it right. It implemented autonomous adjustments, proactively allocated capacity, and sent consumer alerts. They called it correctly and held the load steady. That's a system that learned how the grid behaves because it was built on their grid's own history. That's vertical AI. The next case is healthcare. Take Kaiser Permanente. They rolled out an ambient AI tool called Abridge across all 40 of their hospitals and more than 600 medical offices across the country, putting it in the hands of roughly 24,000 physicians. It sits quietly in the exam room, listens to the conversation between a doctor and a patient, and turns it directly into a clinical note inside Kaiser's own electronic health record that the doctors use every day. That's not generic transcription you could get from any app. That's deep, narrow AI built into the actual clinical workflow, and it's giving doctors hours of their week back to actually look at their patients instead of their keyboards. Generic AI can summarize a paragraph. It takes vertical AI wired into the real system of record to understand what a doctor's note actually needs to say and why. The next case is in sales and marketing. Salesforce turned their own sales development function over to an AI agent called Agentforce and pointed it at tens of thousands of their own dormant leads sitting in their own CRM built from years of their own deal history. That agent worked on those cold leads and generated over $100 million in brand new pipeline from their own data inside their own systems, tuned to exactly how their own sales works. McKinsey's research backs up roughly 2/3 of companies using generative AI in sales and marketing reported real revenue growth within a year. And the ones seeing the biggest gains weren't running a generic tool. They were doing exactly what Salesforce did with its own dormant leads. So what does this mean for you? First, stop thinking of AI as one giant company-wide initiative. Pick one or two of your highest value workflows, the ones closest to your customers or your real differentiation, and go deep there first. Next, take an honest inventory of what you actually own that nobody else does. Your historical data, your proprietary processes, the knowledge sitting in your best people's heads. 3, put your subject matter experts in the room from day one. The people who actually understand your customers and your business need to help design this. 4, decide deliberately whether you'll build, partner, or buy, and judge any vendor by how deep their domain knowledge actually goes. And finally, 5, fund this like a real initiative tied to a real measurable business outcome. Now, in order to implement AI properly, leaders need to understand and design and own architecture, governance, and guardrails. So let's explore each of these. First, architecture. Architecture is just the layers of the system. Think of it like a sandwich. On the bottom, a powerful general AI model, which is smart, well-read, knows a lot about the world. And in the middle, your company's knowledge, your project details, your customer history, your pricing rules, the way your best people actually do the job. And then on top, the connections to where the work actually happens, your CRM, your grid controls, your electronic health record. So the AI isn't just talking, it's actually doing. Next, let's explore governance. Governance is just who's allowed to decide what and who checks the work. Someone accountable for what data goes in, who reviews what comes out before it touches the customer, and a clear owner when something goes wrong. And inside governance, there's one piece leaders skip, which is explainability and trust, which is essential. You have to be able to capture and archive how a decision was actually reached, not just what the answer was. If a regulator, a customer, or your own board ever asks why the system decided what it decided, you need a paper trail a real person can pull up, follow, and validate. That's what lets people actually understand and support the decision. No record, no trust. And without trust, nobody keeps using the system, no matter how good it is. And finally, guardrails, which are simply the limits you set in advance. The same boundaries you'd give a brand new employee on day one. What does human in the loop actually mean in your company? What can it decide alone? What has to go to a person? What is it never allowed to do? Answer those questions before you turn the system loose. And then there's a quick word on what not to do. Don't bolt a generic chatbot onto a broken process and call it transformation. A faster broken process is still broken. Don't skip governance because you're in a hurry. And don't address your own data as a topic for later. It is the single biggest reason this works or doesn't. So here's the one thing to carry out of this episode. The companies winning with AI right now are not the ones with the most AI. They're the ones who understood their own business better than anyone else on earth and used AI to put that understanding into motion faster than any competitor could ever copy. That's not a technology problem. That's a leadership challenge. And it's one only you can solve for your business starting now. That's it for now. Thank you again to our listeners and followers for your continued support. And until the next episode of the Leadership Art Podcast, this is your host, Art Robbins. And remember, it's your lead.